Chris, unbelievable news. A no rules match next week against Nick Gage.
If MJF is going to bring in the most demented and violent man in the business today to face Chris Jericho, then next week I'm going to bring in the most violent and demented version of Chris Jericho to face Nick Gage. That's why next Wednesday on Dynamite, in a no rules match, it's Nick Gage versus the Painmaker.
You're listening to Talk AEW, the official wrestling podcast of GoombaStomp.com. I'm Mariko McDonald, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Arron Santos.
Hello, WrestleManiacs.
And I'm also joined by the editor-in-chief of GoombaStomp.com and TiltMagazine.net, the ravishing Ricky D.
What's up, Mariko? What's up, Arron?
Not much.
I'm a little low in energy today. I feel sick, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll make it. I'll survive. 1 hour of talking wrestling might actually do me good. It might actually make me feel better.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's great. Just talk it out, Sometimes get the blood pumping if we're getting into an argument. It's all fun.
We're going to be talking a little bit later about hardcore matches. Do they have a place in AEW? What are some of the great hardcore matches of all time? But first, of course, we are starting off with Ricky's rapid fire questions.
All right, so as we do every week, I like to ask a few questions to get us into the spirit of things before we get to the main event. So question number 1, Arron, Mariko, Sting, Orange Cassidy, trading kicks. Is it just me? Was that sort of like I'm
the greatest thing ever?
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to say the greatest thing ever, but it's maybe the highlight of Sting this year, not including, of course, his introduction last year.
It was so delightful. And when he did the chest pound, I just about lost it. That was...
It also helped that we had Darby Allin in the background watching the whole thing unfold, being so confused. It was perfectly set up in terms of the shot composition.
Well, it's like watching your dad try and do I guess the cool in thing that kids are doing, right? Or the equivalent of yeah, exactly. It's like you're the equivalent like your dad dabbing or something, So it's amazing to watch and a delight at the same time. It's just I don't know. It's heartwarming. For me, it was heartwarming.
Yeah, just everyone was having so much fun, and it was fun to watch.
A strange way to open up my rapid fire questions, but the reason why I open up with that question is because I kind of feel like it shows and proves that AEW really knows what to do with the veterans. Christian Cage is still growing on me, but I still think he's done pretty good considering his injury, considering the fact that he's had some good matches. I don't think it's really Christian Cage's fault, minus the match with Matt Hardy. But again, even the match with Matt Hardy, it was more like the problem was with Matt Hardy in the ring, but Matt Hardy's still doing pretty good with his new persona. So I don't know. I just what they're bringing in a lot of vets, and we're going to talk about the new introductions and the rumors of who might come to AEW in a bit. But regardless of regardless of who they bring, I'm not really worried about what they're going to do with them at this point in time. Because I think they've managed to find a way. I mean, we used to make fun of Sting coming into the ring every week and getting interrupted, and that's what they did with him repeatedly for 7 weeks in a row. It takes them a while to figure it out, but once they figure it out, they know, I don't know, it seems to work.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. I mean, growing pains and everything. It's not it's also you can't have a magic formula for everyone coming into your new promotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Takes everybody while they get their sea legs.
And I'm sure it's actually sort of harder in many ways to have a legend like Sting, like Christian Cage, etc., come to AEW compared to a newbie, because there's no expectations for someone new. There's no reputation. There's no
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even someone like Miro, who's a great worker, like it took a little while before they really figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now on to the big questions. CM Punk or Daniel Bryan? Who is a better catch for AEW? Who out of those two men would move the needle more?
Dude, I think it's hard for me to say because I think each wrestler in their own right is going to be a big needle mover. I'd have to go with CM Punk just because this rumor of him coming back to WWE, to wrestling, to whatever, it always seems to get the internet going. It always seems to get the wrestling fans going. So I would have to go for CM Punk.
Yeah, I feel like in the longer run, Daniel Bryan probably is like a better get overall because the thing that we kind of forget about CM Punk, as exciting as it would be to see him in the ring again, he hasn't wrestled in 7 years. The same as someone else, a certain legend who got oversold, and then now we're all feeling mediocre about. So as great as this news is, and as exciting as the potential of him coming back and coming back to AEW, or coming to AEW, I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Bryan moves the needle more, and only because I think the general audience, mainstream wrestling fans, like I know everybody knows who CM Punk is, but like you said, Mariko, it's been 7 years. Daniel Bryan was just in a WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was
he
like in
was
a main
just on
event.
TV. He was
He's
just
super
touring. Like,
charismatic, super popular. And, I mean, look, they're both great. They will both, turn heads. But I think the people who really want CM Punk are sort of like the really crazy hardcore wrestling fans who've already decided if AEW is for them or not. I think the people who will start watching AEW because of Daniel Bryan are like, especially the international crowd, people
Mm-hmm.
in India, China, Japan, I don't know, like anywhere but North America. Like, I think it can really move the needle further in the sense that Daniel Bryan, I think, has a bigger reach. But unlike Daniel Bryan or Christian Cage, CM Punk just left. He walked away from wrestling, not because of an injury. These dudes were injured. Now, Daniel Bryan clearly can still wrestle. He's amazing still today, to this day. Christian Cage did come off an injury, so he's not exactly the same as he used to be.
the MRSA infection was life threatening.
Yeah, he did have MERS. I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah, which is part of why he left and part of why he was so bitter against WWE when he left.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Now,
I mean, this is a guy who quit wrestling, retired completely, said he'd never go back, and then he said he might, and then he was an MMA guy, and then he's doing acting, and like, I'm sure he wants to wrestle, and if he did, it would probably be an AEW.
mm-hmm.
But what has CM Punk done since he left WWE? Like, no offense, like he's been in some straight to video movies that
Oh,
nobody
he's
watched.
done like MMA stuff. I think he does
Yeah, he was
commentary.
an MMA commentator for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A commentator, right? But
And
not.
then
But
he was working on that Fox wrestling show, WWE
but
show.
when he actually tried to compete in MMA, it was a complete bust.
Yeah, no, he got his ass kicked.
Right, and then he was also a commentator on that WWE show on that network nobody watches. Like, I don't consider that doing big things. Like, since he
Mm-hmm.
left, like,
Oh, and that show was canceled after less than a year.
yeah,
So I
we're
mean,
gonna talk about someone else who reappeared who did big things since he left WWE compared to CM Punk. CM Punk's done jack shit. No offense. Okay, so next question. Let's say CM Punk and Daniel Bryan do both make it to AEW. Do you think that's a bigger draw? Because I'm bringing this up because everyone always compares AEW to the WCW glory days of Nitro and the New World Order, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that's bigger than Nash, Hall, and Hogan going to WCW back in the days?
I'd say it'd be the equivalent.
I'd say not because wrestling will never ever be what it was in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, I mean
It'll
that.
never have the same viewership.
Mm-hmm.
It'll never have the same overall cultural impact. It'll never have, you know, someone as big as a Hulk Hogan who
Mm-hmm.
is still recognized. You know, is it a big get for now? It's gigantic.
Well, like that's the comparison that I want to make. It's just like you brought up a good point. Like compared to the wrestling in the '90s, like for like 100%, like Hulk Hogan switched to WCW. Yeah, Scott Hall and everything. That in that time and place, that point of time, it is a huge thing. I'm just thinking of like how in the current state of wrestling, it's kind of equivalent. Although you do again, like Mariko made a good point. Like it it doesn't compare to like what in the '90s, but as wrestling fans now, like for me, like it's to me it's kind of like the equivalent.
I mean, Nash, yeah, at the time, Diesel was the world champion, I believe. Hall had the Intercontinental Championship. He had his feud with 123 Kid and Shawn Michaels. He was super popular. And
Hmm.
of course, Hulk Hogan was considered the most popular wrestler, the biggest wrestler in the world. Those three guys moved the needle so much that Nitro became the number one show over Raw. I don't think it compares, which is kind of sad because Daniel Bryan is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world and he's one of WWE's best wrestlers, and CM Punk is just a legend. But no, I don't think it even comes close. And even if you were to remove Hogan, okay, if you were to remove Hogan, I would say it's on par. Back to CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Now, let's say AEW does sign these dudes, even if it's just like for a few matches, they make a cameo appearance. Who knows, right?
Hmm.
How and when would you want AEW to introduce these two men?
I want to see Daniel Bryan next week at Fight for the Fallen. Tony Khan has hinted he has a big announcement. I want it to be that. And then I want to wait until Chicago for CM Punk, and I want the hype to all die down
Hmm.
after Daniel Bryan and the big New York match,
Hmm.
and then we can go to Chicago and CM Punk can do his thing in Chicago.
I'm going to jump in really quick, Aaron. I'm going to disagree about CM Punk because I think CM Punk should make his appearance in Pittsburgh because the last match he wrestled was in Pittsburgh, and it should be a build up for his first match in Chicago, if that's not too far away. It's about 5 weeks away. It works.
I don't know. It's like because like CM Punk is like he's really in no rush to come. I mean, he's been gone for so long. I don't think he's in any rush to come back right now. Um.
The show in Pittsburgh, Aaron, is August 11th, and the
Hmm.
first event in Chicago is September 1st. It's not too far away.
No, it's not too far away. I mean, like it's just I don't know, cause like it's always been the rumor of like
But that's why it's too obvious. It's too obvious. If he appears in Pittsburgh, it'll be a bigger pop, a bigger surprise. Every time they go to Chicago, everyone's waiting for CM Punk.
I think
No,
like
I agree. I completely agree. That's a way better.
And there is a reason for it. There is history. His last match was in Pittsburgh.
mhm. What he could do can make a cameo appearance in Pittsburgh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
he
he's
just
not going to
comes
Yeah.
out at the
wrestle.
end of the episode, like,
Hmm.
He's going to walk out with Britt Baker. They're like
yeah,
best
cult of
friends.
personality drops. Britt Baker walks out, everyone's super confused, and then he's like behind her or something.
Hmm. Yeah, I could picture that. I mean, you made a convincing point.
Okay, and just last question about these two men. If you had to choose just one, who would you choose? I think I asked this question last week. I can't remember, but I know what Mariko's going to answer. Aaron,
Yeah, I'm
CM
not gonna
Punk.
answer because you already know it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, for anyone who doesn't know, Mariko's going to choose Daniel Bryan. She's not into CM Punk going to AEW. Well, I was just about to say that I would choose Daniel Bryan because just in terms of like the matches, I think we would have way better. Because I mean, the whole reason why if Daniel Bryan goes to AEW, the whole reason is because he wants to wrestle in places like New Japan. So he has specific matches in mind that he wants to do, like dream matches. And I
Hmm.
think they
Mhm.
could do more with Daniel Bryan than they can with CM Punk in terms of like delivering some really amazing feuds.
Yeah.
But
No,
Aaron, you're gonna pick CM Punk.
no. Actually, I'm gonna pick Daniel Bryan. I mean, like,
What?
don't get it twisted. Like, I'd love to see CM Punk, but if I'm gonna compare like longevity, like career wise, like I think Daniel Bryan has way more legs than CM Punk. CM Punk is like really good for like 3 spots in AEW, and then we'll probably won't see him ever again.
That's the thing. Like, I think you're right. I think that if CM Punk comes to AEW, he's gonna sign some kind of like bogus contract where he's gonna like wrestle maybe 3-4 times a year and that's it, and he's gonna like disappear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't like I said, like don't get me wrong. Like I think Daniel Bryan is a better get. I think he is 100% more exciting as a wrestler than CM Punk. But you know,
I
again,
also
it's
feel like Daniel Bryan has more to offer the company
he does. He definitely
in
does.
terms of mentorship, in terms of creativity,
Hmm.
working with other people, just being a good hand, you
I
know.
mean, well, exactly. I mean, like, keep in mind that Daniel Bryan could have stayed with WWE and make that comfortable money, but he wanted to fight other wrestlers. He wanted more out of himself than what WWE is giving. So I have to give kudos to him for that.
Hmm. All right, moving along. Now, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Chris Jericho, but I need to know: is it time? Is it time for Chris Jericho to retire?
I think he's got a couple more years. Did you see that Hurricane Rana? Some of the guys half his age can't even do it that well.
Yeah, surprisingly, he pulled that off. I
I
mean,
think I think he's way better than Matt Hardy in the ring. Like, if you want to talk about
yeah,
legends, pros
Yeah,
still
he
wrestling.
yeah.
has substantially more of his spinal cord than Matt Hardy does at this point.
Mm,
Here's the thing about Chris Jericho. Say what you will about him, he always is involved in some sort of awesome storyline.
mm-hmm,
And once again, like, I think the most interesting thing happening in AEW right now just so happens to be his storyline where he has to wrestle 5 guys in order to get a match with MJF.
mm-hmm,
Like, here's the thing. I was watching a Shawn Spears Chris Jericho match, and I couldn't help but think about how much I couldn't help but notice how much I loved the storyline.
mm-hmm.
And I raved about this last week, and I was like, "Oh my god, guys, who do you think's the fifth band's going to be? What's the big surprise?" Turns out the big surprise is actually number 2, not number 5. Talk about a swerve, right? But I was watching a match, and I was like, "Okay, not the greatest match, not terrible. It wasn't like the Christian Cage Matt Hardy match. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Shawn Spears, he did his thing, but it was kind of like, okay, Jericho, you're going to win with the Judas effect, like." That easily over Shawn Spears, who's healthier and younger and stronger and faster than you. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of felt
And he
bad
was
for
the
Shawn
first
Spears.
person to kick out of the C4.
Yeah.
But when I was watching a match, I was like, why didn't they just do this with Sammy instead of Chris Jericho? Sammy needs to wrestle 5 guys to get a match with MJF. Why did it have to be Jericho?
Well, because it's Jericho's.
It's his
It
faction.
yeah, it's his faction, it's his feud. I mean,
He's
it
the
all.
leader.
Mm,
And
I
he's
mean,
the one who had the friendship with MJF, so now they have to have the whatever the opposite of friendship is.
Well, they're going to be rivals now, but I just couldn't help but think that this would have been way better if it was Sammy. I think the matches would just be better.
for
I'm
sure.
not going to disagree with that.
Yeah,
Anyhow, are we excited for the return of the Painmaker?
No,
sure. Bring it on. I mean, like it's
no, no, we don't care.
Yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna talk about hardcore matches in the main event, but the actual Painmaker,
It to I don't know,
it was kind
because
of
like.
silly. Come on, it was silly. Like, first of all, I thought it was obvious. I thought it was obvious that he was
Mhm.
dressed like the
Well,
Painmaker.
because like part of me was like, ever since Chris Jericho signed with AEW, I just kept thinking, I'm like, at some point he's probably gonna bring the Painmaker back, and lo and behold, he did. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't see the big difference in character. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just
He paints his face and
I
he wears
know,
his
but
wig
that's
right.
but that's it. Like he just paints. He looks like the Crow, and then that's it. Labels.
Well, no, that's not it because okay, he was on Twitter last week or the week before, and he was going off about how Y2J is like a thing of the past. He's no longer that person. He's no longer that character. He's moved on. He can't get into that mind frame anymore. He goes through different characters, different personas throughout his career. And to me,
Mhm.
it's weird that he's going back to the Painmaker when he's no longer the Painmaker. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not a big deal. I'm not like super excited about it. I just kind of feel like I don't know. Like, what was the point?
I
It's
think
just
we're meant to believe that Painmaker is a more hardcore Chris Jericho character.
yeah. I mean, I guess so.
You think Nick Gage is going to be scared of a guy who is dressed like Alex from A Clockwork Orange?
Not a bit. With Pierrot makeup? No. No. It is extremely silly. And it is really charming and cute that Chris Jericho thinks that this is intimidating.
hmm
But I'm not excited for it. I don't.
I mean, like, Chris Jericho is like the cool dad, but he's still a dad, and he comes across as a dad who's really not cool all the time, even though he thinks he's cool all the time. Like, he's cool, don't get me wrong, but he's dad cool now. He's not like cool, like YTJ cool anymore. Like, those days are over, Chris. So 5 people he needs to wrestle before he gets to MJF. We already know who number 2 is. We're going to talk about it after the break. But who do you think could be number 5? Because I started thinking about this, and I was like, I heard someone online say Lance Storm, which
Lance Storm.
What?
is weird. I don't know. I don't know if you guys know anything that I don't know. But I was like,
No.
what if
I guess it was someone just making a WCW joke or something.
I don't know, because I know he's best friends with Lance Storm, but I was like, Lance Storm?
Yeah, but Lance Storm is like he's podcasting now. I don't know.
Well, so is Chris Jericho.
Right, but it's just, well, I don't know.
'Cause I don't even know if he has a gym anymore because he sold it to work for WWE and then they fired him.
What if it's Sammy? Like, what if MJF actually pits Chris Jericho against his best friend?
No,
That would be a great swerve. Talk about
it
good
would be a
storytelling.
great swerve.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Do a lot more setup for that to actually be a
Mhm.
thing that I would believe.
I guess. Okay, making a big appearance this week was Chavo Guerrero. Are we happy that Chavo is now the quote unquote manager of
Oh my god, so relieved.
hmm
So much better.
so he's like he is the manager of Andrade, right? Like, I mean,
I think they call him an executive assistant or something.
so does this mean that Vicky got fired?
Well, first of all, I didn't know what Vicky's role was, but I mean, if anything, Vicky seemed more of like a manager than anything. So I wouldn't say fired.
Chavo's amazing. I've always been a huge fan of Chavo Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero, and even Hoovy. So super excited that he's here. But here's the thing. So earlier I was talking about CM Punk, and I was talking about what has he done since he left WWE. Chavo's done everything. This dude is all over the place. He's worked in Hollywood. He's worked in movies. He's worked in TV. You know, he was, I think, what was he? Not the script supervisor. He was some sort of supervisor on Glow. So he's done a lot of stuff since he's left WWE. He's he's still healthy. He looks great. He looks like he's in great shape. He looks young. He looks like he can still wrestle.
Yeah.
And he can talk the mic. So to me, this is like, I mean, moving Andrade away from Vicky and giving him Chavo is like the best thing AEW has done in like the past like 4 weeks. Like, it's such an improvement.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we talked about how much we wanted Alex Abrahantes, but now that they're in a feud, or Andrade is in a feud with Death Triangle, that doesn't work. So Chavo is perfect. It's great. I love it.
And so what are the chances that Phoenix and Penta actually turn on Pac?
Andrade's really gonna have to improve his attitude and make a better case for them leaving, because so far I don't think he's doing a very good job.
I hope they don't turn on Pac. I don't want to see AEW put all of the Mexican wrestlers in the same faction.
Why not?
And then Thunder Rosa could be part of it because she just got signed officially.
Why not? We're doing this whole like faction thing again in wrestling.
Aaron, think about it. Would you prefer to see Penta, Phoenix, and Andrade and all these other dudes in the same faction, or would you prefer to see incredible matches between Penta and Phoenix, and Penta and Andrade and Phoenix, and so on and so forth?
Repeat that question again.
Would you want them to be aligned, or would you want to see them in actual great matches competing against each other?
Well, I think they're going to be. I think we're going to still get great matches competing with each other, but I feel like the end product would be that they all get together.
Okay, so first they fight, and then the end result they form an alliance. Okay, I like that. Okay, but I do want to see them in the ring fighting each other. I don't want them to just
Oh
be
yeah.
buddy
Yeah,
turning on Pac.
100%.
Mind you, I still think Pac versus Black would be great, but I wouldn't mind seeing Pac versus Andrade.
Let's
Mhm.
be honest. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. All right, Britt Baker, everyone's favorite dentist versus Nyla Rose. Okay, I did not hate this match. Don't get me wrong, but how many near falls is too many near falls before the match is just out of control and silly? There
Uh,
was 32 near falls in this match. I'm pretty sure I counted correctly.
I'm glad someone took number.
Yeah, because I lost count. But
Yeah, I lost count too.
And we're talking about near falls after someone hits their finisher like multiple times, and yet they kick out.
And there was also a fake 3 count in this wrestling match too. I don't know if anyone caught that.
oh yeah.
There was a 3 count. The whole crowd like erupted. They were like, "What the hell's?"
Oh, right. Yeah, there was a 3 count. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what difference does it make? I mean, clearly the referee didn't want anyone to win the match.
Mm. Uh, I mean, for
My question was, how many near falls is too many near falls? I just
no,
need a
I
number.
know, I know. I'm just trying to find the right answer. I mean, like in this situation, I feel like it was too much, but I understood what they were trying to do is like this build this suspense, but
I kind of
that's
feel like it depends on how long the match is. Like, I think if your match is like, say, 15 minutes, you can have like 3, maximum 4 near falls.
yeah. I mean, not
Yeah.
because I felt like every move was a finishing move, and it was just like kicking out, every 2 minutes out of someone's finishing move. So it became, I would, I don't want to sound too critical. Like I don't want to say like it was a bad thing, but at the same time, it kind of sucked the momentum out of like the match for me.
Dude, it was
So
bad. It was
yeah,
bad. Like I understand Nyla Rose is twice her size,
mm,
but like if you're gonna commit to Britt Baker beating Nyla Rose, commit to it. Don't like
yeah,
dance around because you don't want to bury Nyla Rose and make her look bad. She's already
yeah,
beaten Britt
exactly.
Baker. It's
Yeah,
not a bad
yeah.
thing if she loses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and moving on to the next question, just to kind of give a comparison point. So we had Lance Archer versus John Moxley. Did you notice that there was no interference whatsoever? Lance Archer won fair and square. So my question is, do you think that this was a good ending? And second question, was that actually a fan, like an actual fan, a paid fan, like someone who actually paid for a ticket that Lance Archer used as a weapon?
I'm 100% sure that was a plant. So some poor extra maybe got a $5 at a doing that spot.
I'm just trying to figure out if they can actually get sued. That if because
and
like
the US, yeah, you could get sued
Yeah.
for anything.
but
You can get
Aaron,
sued for looking at someone the wrong way.
the other week someone ran into the ring and Chris Jericho had to attack him, and then I mean they weren't going to get sued because he ran into the ring. So if that dude, say, like, because we didn't exactly see what happened, let's say the fan punched Lance Archer, wouldn't Lance Archer have the right to fight back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was self defense at that
You
point.
could make the argument in court and
Mhm.
it would all be on tape, so
Anyhow, I'm pretty sure it was a plant, like Mariko said, because of the way the announcers reacted to it.
Mhm.
But you have to get someone who knows how to take a bump to do that.
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
just pull someone out of the audience. You could break their neck. There's no
Mhm.
way.
Yeah, it's exactly. There's so many like liability issues if you're just taking a random person out of the crowd.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yes. All right. Anyhow, my real question is, were you happy with the ending? The fact that John Moxley actually lost fair and square to Lance Archer, who, by the way, finally picked up a win for a championship.
Mhm.
I thought it was a great ending. I liked him all tied up in the barbed wire. I like the psychology of it and the fact that he won clean. Like he absolutely needed to, and he needs this belt. He needed uh some more legitimacy, and now we get some more crossover with New Japan with the I do not remember his name. I feel so bad.
Hekaleo.
Hekaleo. Yeah, really excited for that.
You talking
So
about the son of Haku?
Mhm. And brothers of Tama Tonga and Tongaleo
Yeah.
or
Why is that guy
Tangaloa.
so tall?
I
Huh?
know.
No, he's pretty tall.
Damn, he's
Yeah,
tall.
that shocked me.
I was surprised at how tall. Like I didn't really like follow Hikalea much at NJPW, but I was surprised at how tall he was compared to like Lance Archer. Consider that Lance Archer is like 6'8".
Lance Archer is a giant.
Yeah,
And this guy was as tall, if not a little bit taller.
yeah, he did look a little taller, so I was like, holy crap, man.
Oh, he's way taller than Lance Archer for sure. All right, 2 more questions before we move on to the main event. Tony Khan teased a new live event coming soon. What do you think it is?
I have no idea. Like I haven't kept up with this
It
rumor.
could be like another sort of fan fest, like a bigger weekend one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe another like house show, like they did over the summer. But I don't know. Could be anything.
Actually, you know what? A house show makes a lot of sense. There's no way it's some new televised show. Anyone who thinks that's
No,
crazy.
there's
We
way
already
too
got
many
too
already.
many shows.
Yeah.
Elevation, Dark, Rampage. Like, God, I
Like
don't have time for it.
why would you like start talking about a new television show when you don't even know how well this one coming in August is gonna do?
Well, he's calling it a live event. I don't think it's
Mhm.
meant to be televised, whatever it is.
Yeah.
My guess is it's some kind of like fan convention or some house show.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And I think a house show makes a lot of sense, but a fan convention would be super cool also.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question, Aaron, what was the ratings this week?
It was, I believe it was 1,418,000.
Okay, I just found it here. Okay, yeah. So I'm seeing 1.5 million.
1.5 million?
1.15 million.
Okay. So 1.15 million then.
Pretty much what you said.
Yeah.
Like if you round it off, yeah. Holy shit, that's a lot of people. How many viewers is Monday Night Raw getting these days? Damn.
They're still getting over 4 million probably, or 3 million. But it's been slowly on the decline, so we'll see.
All right, well, that's been this week's edition of Ricky's Rapid Fire Questions. Thank you so much for answering and not answering all these amazing questions that I had to think of. So awesome. I can't wait to do the main event now.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it'll be the main event.
Santana Ortiz, the floor is yours.
You know, while you two were off playing patty cake elsewhere, Santana and I have been here since day one. You attacked our family. You attacked Conan. And Tully, he'll be there next week. You bring your roll of quarters. No matter what happens next week, we'll be taking a piece of you with us. You're just a pit stop on our way to Tag Team Gold.
You see that? Look at it close. That's my mother at 15 years old after having me. You see this? You see it? Look close. This is my mom's first apartment, a shithole in the Bronx, where she struggled to raise 5 kids in 1 bedroom. You see this? This is when my mom had to fight the city and take slumlords to court just so that we have a decent place to live. So when you look at me and you tell me I don't know what it's like to struggle, you ain't just spitting in my face, you spitting in my mother's face. And for that, I'd eat your soul.
Calm yourself.
I'd eat your soul.
Calm yourself. Eat up.
And you like to say we're scared of being poor again. Papi, a long time ago, we were taught that poor is a state of mind. We got the love, admiration, and respect from our families. We rich forever. Forever. And there ain't a damn thing any of y'all could do about it.
And we're back on Talk AEW in the main event. So tonight's main event was sort of inspired by the appearance of one Mr. Nick Gage as the second Labour of Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
You know what? Like you guys would probably, because when Nick Gage came out, to be honest, I didn't know who this wrestler was. So I just
so much much fun giving you like just little details in the
I
group
know.
chat.
And the fact that Excalibur was like, oh no no, it was MJF like going like, oh, this guy robbed a bank. Oh, this guy came back from the dead. And I'm like, and I'm doing my research on this guy. I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
he did rob a bank, and he was pronounced dead in the ring at some point, and then had to be resuscitated.
Yep.
So I'm just like, okay, what the hell? So if you have any insights on this guy Mariko, like I'd love to hear because
But Aaron, like you're not alone because he's never actually wrestled ever on TV. The
Yeah,
first
no,
time,
no,
this is
yeah,
a super underground guy.
yeah.
I honestly only really know about him for two reasons. The big one is the Dark Side of the Ring. He
Mhm.
was an episode this season. Like just him. And also he has a rather notorious cameo in the David Arquette wrestling documentary
Yes, yeah,
where
you're
they had a hardcore match together,
mhm.
and he brought out that pizza cutter when he had that when he was showing off that pizza cutter. Like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you're going to find out.
Mhm.
And they were involved in a spot where there was glass tubes, and he was cutting David Arquette, and because David Arquette reacted funny, he ended up getting stabbed in the jugular.
Jesus Christ.
And to David Arquette's credit, he actually started to walk off the match. And
Really?
people were booing, and he's like holding his neck, trying to keep all the blood in.
Yeah.
And then he got back in the ring, and they finished the match.
Holy crap.
And then he went immediately to the emergency room. In the film, actually, it's Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are the ones driving the car, taking David Arquette to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, the first time I actually heard of Nick Gage was after that match. It was all over YouTube, but I had no idea who this dude was. I just heard that David Arquette almost died in a wrestling match, and it was all over the papers. And then really quick, after he actually was in the documentary series The Wrestlers, they had a whole episode dedicated to hardcore wrestling, and he was one of the dudes that they followed. And then he appeared in David Arquette documentary, and then he appeared in Dark Side of the Moon. So it took this dude, Dark Side of the Ring. So it took this dude 3 documentaries to finally get a gig on television, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Because seriously, this dude is dangerous.
he
He's off the
is.
rocker.
Well,
He's insane. He's a
mhm.
straight up criminal. He almost killed several people in the ring. He almost killed himself. And what the hell is Chris Jericho going to do in this match? And this is why I want to talk about hardcore matches and death matches specifically, because we've had several over the past few weeks, I think,
Mhm.
and or like at least this year. I'm not a big fan of death matches or hardcore wrestling like this. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it in AEW. I don't want to see it in main event. I don't want to see it on televised on Dynamite. I think it's bad for ratings. It's bad for the business. I hate to sound like Jim Cornette, but it's true. People don't want to see this shit. And this Nick Gage next week, man, I'm not looking forward to that match.
Mhm.
Okay, here's what I think. One, I don't mind most of the hardcore matches that AEW has done because they are relatively tame. There's no real
Yeah.
death match. The thing with Nick Gage, I feel like this is an exploding barbed wire deathmatch situation. I think they announced him, they booked him, everyone's gonna freak out on the internet, lose their goddamn minds,
Mhm.
and it is gonna be a super tame, not particularly frightening match. I think it's gonna get it. We're gonna get TV Nick Gage. This isn't gonna be what people want,
Yeah.
and I think either way, people are gonna be disappointed with this match. I kind of agree with you. Like, I did pop. I did think it was pretty incredible that AEW was gonna put this guy on TV. I
Mhm.
don't know that a match with Chris Jericho is something that Nick Gage fans want to see, or something that Chris Jericho fans want to see. So we'll see what we get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna agree with Mariko, but like just to answer also like the question of if hardcore matches should belong to AEW, I think hardcore matches in AEW are the only reason is one of the biggest draws of why fans watch AEW, because WWE doesn't do them
Can't find
anymore.
it on TV anywhere else. As
Yeah.
long as they keep it to like once a month or whatever, or like every other pay-per-view, I
Hmm.
think it's a very useful tool in their arsenal to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Look, clearly it's working. They must be looking at analytics and or ratings, and maybe they just see people want to see these type of matches. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
too often, like they just had one last week, one again this week. They had the big, huge mess up at the pay per view. Now this guy's coming in next. I mean, 3 weeks in a row, a death match, a hardcore match.
But the matches, I mean, like Mariko said, they're pretty tame compared to what they used to be.
Yeah,
I
the
mean, this is
Texas hardcore match, like it wasn't a death match; it was
yeah.
a hardcore match. I'm now we're getting into semantics. I'm going to split hairs.
Hmm.
Um,
It's definitely
but
not ECW days or anything, you know?
yeah, this isn't Nick Gage Ultraviolence.
Yeah, yeah.
This isn't CZW. This isn't even ECW.
Hmm.
Look. I remember the Thunder Rosa Brooke Baker match, and I mean, considering what they did and knowing Nick Gage and seeing what he does, the man does not know how to wrestle tame. Like he's going to go full out Nick Gage crazy mode. That's all he knows. I can't imagine this guy holding back. He didn't hold
Hmm.
back for David Arquette. He's not going to hold back for Chris Jericho. This
Well,
could turn into a complete
I,
disaster.
I mean, like that is the thing like reading up on Nick Gage too, because like I was reading up on him,
No,
and
the guy's a complete maniac.
yeah, like he's ended the career for quite a few wrestlers, including a podcast that I listened to who was a former wrestler. He holds him in a special place because Nick Gage ended his career as well.
Mm.
So I
But that's not something to be proud of. Like
You're
Mhm.
not a technical mastermind if you do deathmatch. It's just not. There's you're into it for something else.
Yeah. For I certainly hope that I hope and that I trust that AEW knows what they're doing, because I'm pretty sure that Chris Jericho knows what he's doing too. I mean, I can't picture him agreeing at his age and his point of his career. Like, why would you agree to book a match like this, especially with a guy that has a reputation like Nick Gage?
The other thing I think is important to remember, as much as Nick Cage is a loose frickin' cannon
Hmm.
and has repeatedly stepped over lines he said he wouldn't with other wrestlers, Tony Khan is paying him a big fat check.
Hmm.
And, working death matches in CZW doesn't really pay that. It's not super
No.
lucrative.
Yeah.
So if Tony Khan gives him a big fat check and says, okay, don't use the pizza cutter tonight,
Hmm.
I feel like Nick Gage is going to be inclined to not use the pizza cutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
look, okay, first of all, Chris Jericho was crazy enough to fall off the what was it? The not the Hell in the Cell,
Oh,
the blood and
war,
guts
yeah,
cage,
the
cell,
war
whatever you
games.
call it, right? He fell off
Yeah,
the
blood
top
and
of that
guts
cage.
Yeah.
He
cage.
almost killed himself. I mean, not really. I mean, they had the padding and everything, but he really, really, really did get injured, even though everyone was making fun of the fall, saying it looked fake. Let's face it, the guy got injured. There's nothing fake about falling that far, even if you're landing on padding.
Hmm.
So Chris Jericho, I don't know. Like, I feel like you're crazy enough to do that, even if there's padding. You're like, what, in your 50s? And now you're going to
Yeah, I
wrestle a
mean,
maniac.
there will still be hardcore elements to this. Like, there's definitely going to be chairs, there's definitely going to be garbage cans, there's definitely going to be tacks.
Hmm.
But I think we're going to stay away from, the Ikebana spikes and the pizza cutters and the light tubes.
If
Yeah,
they
I
bring
hope
in
to stay
the
away.
light tubes and the pizza cutter, I'm out. Like I just don't want to see that. I mean, even like this week watching, I mean, you could tell that they weren't really hitting each other with like
Hmm.
the what was it, the
Yeah.
pen, the
Yeah, the
pencil or the
fork,
pen?
fork.
The fork,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You could tell that was kind of like fake with the motion of their hands.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But like this dude, man, if he actually starts like cutting people with a pizza cutter, like that's not what I want to see in my wrestling show on TV.
No,
Like I
and I'm
just
pretty
don't.
sure TNT wouldn't allow that either.
Yeah. Either that or that pizza cutter blade better be dull.
Because a lot, like, look, I love the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match. A lot of people didn't like it. They thought it was just too much. They didn't want to see the women like in blood like that. Like at the same time, like AEW is doing really good at ratings. There's a lot of they're always in the spotlight. They're always like in the conversation. There's like rumors about CM Punk and Daniel Bryan going to AEW. You don't need a guy like Nick Gage to ruin your reputation or give you a bad name. Because no
No.
offense, like that guy is not going to do anything for your company.
Yeah, but it's always was going to be a one shot thing.
Yeah.
If on the off chance that something crazy does happen, like I think we'll be able to recover from it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It's a calculated risk, right?
Again, with the reputation that Nick Gage has, like I'm I'm a little worried, but also at the same time, like I trust the
He's not a
process.
complete idiot. Like he's crazy, but he's not totally stupid. He's not gonna F things up.
I would actually
on a
disagree. I
big
think he
TV
is totally
spot.
stupid. That's the problem. I don't trust him.
Mm.
I just
I
don't
trust
trust
him
the guy.
as far as like money is concerned.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
like what Mariko said earlier. I mean, you're getting a big check from AEW.
He's still going to get the check no matter what the result is. Like it's up.
I don't know.
He can go in and do his thing and
Mhm.
do exactly what they want him to do and maybe hopefully get a second match or God knows what. I will give him this. He is, for whatever reason, charismatic and people do love him, and he's really
Mhm.
good on the microphone.
Mhm.
But I don't want to see I don't want to see this kind of wrestling. Like so here's the thing. I was watching Raw and SmackDown this week, and then I was watching, of course, Dynamite. And I still clearly prefer AEW. I like their product better. But a lot of people talk about how, and we've mentioned this too. We've mentioned how sometimes it's just a little too much in terms of like the high flying moves and the flips and the constant flips. It looks like a Cirque du Soleil, right? And they say it looks fake. But I'm watching SmackDown and Raw, and the wrestling moves so slow and is so badly choreographed, it looks way more fake than watching Sammy do like 30 flips and like, you know what I mean? And like some people like Jim Cornette would call it like video game like.
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, it just looks like so poorly rehearsed. Like these dudes didn't even make an effort to like practice. But the point I'm trying to make here is when I'm watching AEW, I feel like for the most part, like it's the kind of wrestling I want to see. It's like different forms of wrestling, and it's high flying, and it's like big men, and it's lucha style, and it's like Japan style, the New Japan style, and they're just really athletic. And like you watch like Sammy do his like 630 flip, for example, or even Lance Archer when he climbs on the top rope and does that Undertaker like what was it like what does
The
he
old
do
school, the old school into like the moonsault.
yeah, into the moonsault, like stuff like that, right? But then I'm watching WWE and I'm like, man, the talent is so good. Like they have such great talent, and I like the soap opera feel of it. I like the acting, I like the jokes, I like the personas, I like their video packages and the way they cut promos. It's like funny, it's entertaining, it's like, and I wish that like there was a balance. Like I wish those two companies can kind of like meet, and you know what I mean? Like I feel like AEW, it's still missing that part that makes WWE such a success in terms of like the showmanship, like it being a show.
You mean the millions of dollars that WWE makes?
No, it's not about the millions of dollars. It's about the personalities, like, and like you watch Dynamite, you're gonna get some really kick-ass matches, but in between those matches, sometimes we'll get some like funny spots, but a lot of times it's just like it feels too much like a sport and not like a soap opera.
That's deliberate.
Yeah,
I know, but I want more of a balance.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know. If I wanted to watch a soap opera, I watch a soap opera. When I want to watch wrestling, I'll watch wrestling.
I want to bring this point. For what AEW is doing, I feel it's great for AEW. For what WWE is doing, like the argument that you're trying to make, like how AEW should have these video packages like WWE. I don't think AEW should do stuff like WWE because this is the reason why I watch AEW. If I want to see WWE, I'll watch
Exactly.
WWE.
They do have video packages like WWE, and they pretty much like copy them at this point. I'm not talking about their video packages. When let's just like go back to the glory days of WWE when Rock would cut a promo. It was funny as hell. It was like that. People tuned in to watch Rock cut a promo, not watch Rock wrestle. That's why people tuned in to Monday Night Raw, is to see Stone Cold Steve Austin drive in with a truck and spray everyone with beer. It's to see The Rock cut a promo and embarrass Chris Jericho. That is what everyone loves at the end of the day.
We've had trucks in AEW. I mean, we had John Moxley run into the trailer of the Elite. I mean, we get a couple of callbacks like WWE-esque. So
right, and I'm just saying I would love more of a balance. I would like to see more of that fun stuff and the good wrestling, because that's one of the reasons why I actually don't really like to tune in and watch Elevation, because it's just one wrestling match after one wrestling match after another wrestling match. It's just wrestling matches. And it's like, it's not like, as much as they try to make it seem like a real sport, at the end of the day, it's predetermined. We know who's going to win. So like, I need more than just watching people wrestle.
They've been adding a lot more promos and things to Elevation. They have like specific feuds that are only happening on Dark and Elevation as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying, this is my opinion. You guys can disagree. I want more of a balance. I was talking to my nephew, and he doesn't want to watch AEW. He's like, every time I watch AEW, I can't get invested. I don't know who these people are. He's like, Rick, the wrestling's great, but like, I don't care about these people. It's like watching a TV show and you're just not invested and you don't care about the characters, but the action is great. Okay, so then it's just mindless action.
I don't know, because like the AEW certainly has done a better job. I will agree to a point that they have done a better job with their video packages. They have done a better job at showing stuff that maybe people might have missed, or any storylines. They've certainly done a better job at that, which is very similar to WWE, because if that's one thing that I can make a comparison to AEW and WWE, is that WWE does a better job at showing video packages and highlights of maybe stuff in the storyline that people might have missed, in that current night or a night before. But I know AEW is doing a better job at that. But as far as like the soap opera stuff, like I don't feel like I need it in AEW, because again, if I want to see this, I could watch WWE, which I still do from time to time. I mean, I think AEW should be AEW and WWE should be WWE. It's funny, like how we're talking about this, because like I'm gonna make this comparison to this video I saw of T-Pain screaming on his Twitch channel how all the music sounds the same. I don't want it to be that situation. I don't want to be AEW trying to copy WWE because WWE is successful at doing something. I want AEW to continue what they're doing because they're successful at being AEW. WWE should continue what they're doing because they're WWE, and I want to see the same matches every goddamn weekend. So
no, they should not continue what they are doing. The problem,
no, they should not. I was joking. I was 100% joking.
But that's the thing. Their problem is the wrestling matches. It's the fact that it's always the same match over and over, and the matches are boring. AEW doesn't have that problem, at least not for us fans of AEW. We happen to think that the wrestling matches are, for the most part, entertaining. They don't always knock it out of the park, but I would say like 7 out of 10 matches are great or good, and like at least 5 out of 10 are great. But like, I'll give you an example just to end my little like rant here. It's like I'm watching WWE and I see John Cena and then I see Matt Riddle and I'm like, AEW doesn't have that. I think that would make the company way better.
You know what? I'll take Orange Cassidy over Matt Riddle any day. Matt Riddle talent in ring, I would love to have an AEW.
I bet you $50 Vince McMahon, out of all the wrestlers in AEW, the one he would want the most is Orange Cassidy.
I 100% agree. You'd probably want Orange Cassidy, but I mean the way he's using Matt Riddle.
Orange Cassidy might just be the most popular wrestler in AEW because of his personality. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. I want more of that because I think they have great personalities. I don't think they have enough time, and I understand it's a big roster and waiting for Rampage, and we've been saying this forever now. But like, I would like to see more of. I mean, Britt Baker, mind you, she's great. we get to see her, right? I want more of that. I want more of what makes the wrestlers popular in AEW, but with more
And
wrestlers.
those things are happening on Dark and Elevation.
Yeah, I agree with Mariko. I mean, the 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 thing that I could probably say about WWE, I feel like the characters and the talent in WWE is probably more established because the system that they're trying to run, AEW is still trying to find its legs with some of these characters, but in the long run, I would trust the product of the AEW more than WWE
But you know
because
what's funny, Aaron, is I feel like what I want, they already do. They just don't do it on their shows. They do it on their YouTube channels.
you're talking about AEW.
That's exactly what I want. I want
No,
that in the
Ricky, it's
shows.
about time.
Mm-hmm. I feel it is. Yeah, exactly. It's about time. Let these things develop.
Like WWE currently has like 7 hours to get their characters across.
Yeah, I mean, not yeah.
Five,
Considering,
and AEW has 2 TV
hmm
hours to get people across.
hmm I totally agree. And it's funny. Like again, I don't want to jab too much on WWE, but they have like 3 hours on Raw, and I feel like I see the same 5 wrestlers for the whole 3 hours. So anyway,
I mean, I'm
WWE.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of reasons why Raw is 3 hours long, mostly because of the money they make. For example, with advertising, and not everyone's going to
Oh,
tune in
for
right away.
sure.
Some
Well,
people tune in for a second hour,
Yeah.
third hour,
Yeah.
etc., etc.
It has to be for advertising because I can tell you for a fact that at the 9 o'clock spot, no one is watching Raw. Like I think that's like their lowest hour out of those 3 hours.
I'm just thinking about Dynamite, and I'm like, if you were to remove one match, just one match from this week's program, this week's episode, and you use that time for stuff like what I want to see, like the Orange Cassidy personalities pop, I think it would make for a better show.
It's possible, and it's possible that that's what Rampage is going to do. So, I mean, right now, I mean, considering that AEW is what 2 years old.
Barely.
Yeah, yeah, barely 2 years old, but it's still
October it'll be 2 years.
October. It'll be
Well,
2 years old.
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a young company, and considering that at the rate they're going, I mean, it's fantastic. I'm happy for AEW. I mean, but it's still a young company. To me, all signs point that AEW give them a year, a couple of more years, maybe more. But anyway, like what they're doing now is keeping my attention. I'm interested in seeing AEW flourish. I don't expect them to have the production quality or production values of WWE, but at least I have that AEW is giving me that outlet, you know?
And I like that there's a product that focuses on wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did something on this episode that is kind of like what I'm complaining that I want, and it's when they had FTR and Santana and Ortiz in that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pre-recorded video package, but they made it seem like a live interview.
Oh, New Japan does that a lot too.
But that was funny. That was
Yeah, it
and
was
and then,
funny.
was it Santana or Ortiz? I can't remember. I always get them confused. They started whipping out photographs of like their
That was
past and their
Santana.
mom,
Yeah.
their house, stuff like that. Brings out the character, brings out their
Mm-hmm.
characters, their personality. That's what I want to see. And when AEW does it, they do it well. I just want more of it. And maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not disagreeing with you about time, and maybe when we get Rampage, we will get more of this. But man, I just like it's more of like I'm just such a fan of some of these wrestlers
Mm-hmm.
because here's the thing, like WWE has some amazing talent, and I would love to see a guy like Matt Riddle, for example, in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of their wrestlers look and act and seem and talk alike. Their personality, they're just like so the same.
It's a system. I mean, I hate to say it, but WWE is a system. It's either you abide by the system or you're out of there.
The thing is, they're still the biggest and the best in some aspects for a reason, and they've been doing it forever, and they've been number one forever for a reason because they, despite the fact that they kind of suck right now in terms of like their
Mm-hmm.
actual wrestling matches, man, there's so much that they do well, and a lot of it has to do with the talent that they find.
Mm.
And it's just like I kind of like because everyone says, "Oh, isn't it great to be a wrestling fan right now?" And I'm like, they make it sound like it's the best time ever to be a wrestling fan. Like,
It
no,
is
it's
because
not. It's
it is.
not the best. It's great and it's
Mhm.
moving in the right direction. But until WWE gets their shit together, like, I mean, I want two companies to be successful and fun to watch. I want, like, back in the days, the Nitro and the Raw, and not knowing which one you want to watch live and which one you want to record. That was a great time to be a wrestling fan.
I don't know. For me, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan because if there's something that you don't like in WWE or AEW, there's always something else you could watch. There's Impact, there's New
Oh God, let's
Japan.
not watch Impact. No,
But but you
joking,
know
just
what?
joking.
With Jay White in Impact, 100% more interested in Impact. That's for sure. So, but I'm just saying that every company is certainly bringing something to the table, which is why I think it is a great time to be a wrestling fan.
No, it is, but I'm saying the way people say it, they say it like it's like the way they're saying it. They're saying it like it's the greatest time ever to be a wrestling fan. I don't think we're there yet,
Greatest
but I
No,
time
do.
I
ever?
think
No,
we all
yeah,
agree that that was the Attitude Era. I don't think there's
hmm
any disagreement
yeah,
about that in the
yeah,
entire fandom of wrestling.
uh-huh.
But I mean, let's be honest, the last 10 years have been a horrible oasis of one crummy product just getting crummier and crummier.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, if you asked me to do a podcast 8 years ago, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
But here's the last thing I'm going to say for today's episode. By the way, this is sort of like a debate show, so like we do like the debate. So I do have to kind of like play devil's advocate sometimes and choose a side. But I mean, it kind of feels like Tony Khan's building an equivalent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What? Yeah, I totally agree.
It's crazy, right?
I mean the way
And
he,
WWE is Warner Brothers.
yeah,
I see. Warner
yeah,
DC versus Marvel. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so like you'll get
poor
the good
DC.
movies like Suicide Squad and I don't know what's a good DC movie that they made recently. I don't
A good one.
a good one. Is there a good one?
Birds of Prey wasn't terrible.
Which one?
Birds of Prey?
Okay, so Birds of Prey would
Yeah.
be sort of like the NXT,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and then Batman versus Superman would be like WWE SmackDown or something.
It,
Okay, Raw.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Raw. Yes.
It's definitely
Yeah,
wrong.
it's definitely Raw. Because SmackDown is okay.
The Snyder cut is SmackDown.
AEW is like the early, like phase one, like Iron Man, Thor.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure things out. It's still not great, but they're getting there. And then like you get Captain America, First Avenger, and
But it's colorful. There's variety. Like, this is
Hmm.
actually a pretty good analogy. I gotta
Yeah.
give it to you, Reggie.
Yeah. I like it.
look, I know sometimes we come across as being negative, although not as negative as some podcasts. But
Hmm.
it's just that it's to just sort of like bring up ideas and discuss like what they can do better because we all just want AEW to get better and they are getting better.
Hmm.
But I don't also want to throw WWE under the bus and tear it apart because they do copy a lot of things that company does, like the video packages, because it works. And the way WWE does that, they do it well. And I like the idea, like you said, Aaron, they've been introducing a lot more video packages and they've
Hmm.
been if not through video packages and or promos, the announcers would fill in the blanks. That they would inform the audience that this is happening because of so and so, or
Yeah.
this happened, or this dude is like wrestled on Dark, or
Hmm.
whatever.
That's 100% what I was trying to get across too. Like they've in this past year, I feel they've done a better job at filling in on storylines that audience might have missed, or anyone that might have missed something on Dark or on Elevation. They show it on Dynamite. They've certainly made a more effort to show it like this year. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, like going back to comic book analogies, like again, Stanley said it, like treat everyone's first comic book, treat every comic book as everyone's first comic book, and I feel like if they keep that mindset for every episode of like Dynamite or something, like treat every episode of Dynamite like someone's first episode of Dynamite.
Yeah, like the way Excalibur was trying to explain who Nick Gage is, because I'm sure like 99% of people watching had no idea who he is.
Yeah, well, I was like part of that 99%. So like,
Half the time he's trying to explain to JR who everyone is because JR can't keep up anymore.
hmm
Yeah.
It's really funny.
All right. I want to thank you all for listening to us today. We truly appreciate you for tuning in. I would like to thank my co-host, Mr. Aaron Santos,
No problemo.
and of course, Mr. Ricky D.
Remember, everyone, you can find the podcast over at goombastomp.com. Check the wrestling section, check the podcast section. You can find us on Twitter. It's Talk AEW Podcast. Leave a comment, tweet at us. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating on, I guess, iTunes. That's fine. And you can listen to the podcast just about everywhere. All the links are, once again, over at goombastomp.com. But you can listen to the show on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, everywhere. Podbean, you name it.
Goodbye.
Penta, Phoenix, I have a question. One question, una pregunta. Why do you work for PAC? Penta, Phoenix, now you work for Andrade, el ídolo. Andrade, I'm not sure what planet you're on, but Penta and Phoenix, they don't work for me. You see, Death Triangle, we're a team, a family, a brotherhood. Do you understand? Y para que tú entiendas, nosotros somos familia. And you know what? We are the real face of the Latinos.
¿Y sabes qué? ¿Cómo por qué vamos a hacer equipo con alguien que no tiene nuestro nivel? Alex.
Penta says, why would we want to join a group with you when you're not even on our level?